right, questions for Coach Koenning?
Well, with your injury situation, do you have enough guys to suit up Saturday?
I hope so. Yeah, I mean we're gonna have to see who we got. You know, we've had a couple of days to let the guys get a bunch of treatments, and we'll just see where they're at. It is definitely going to affect what we're able to do, but you know we're going to put 11 out there, and we'll see. So I know that I'm hesitant to talk about injuries and stuff because that's a Coach Brown issue. So that's, if you haven't already talked to him, he's the one to ask on all that.
Guzman, did you see any of that in practice leading up to what he did?
Not as much in practice, but more on his Cerritos tape. So that was, you know, we knew we were going to need some depth at safety, and you know, I mean, he not when he got kind of one of those blows to the side of his head a little bit, and that's obviously where most concussions occur, and so he doesn't really have a bad one. It was actually he was clear later on, not cleared by the trainers, but I mean anytime somebody's like out on their feet, obviously you take every step to be precautionary, but I don't think he's had any side effects, so that's up to the trainers to get him ready. He also, in that same play, sprained his ankle. I think the ankle's more of an issue. You know, he's had no side effects from the head.
Pretty good tackling, though, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think he's not scared, and he does what he's asked to do. That's I mean, you've heard me talk about that. It's on blue in the face around here. If they do what they're supposed to do, then they'll have an opportunity to make plays. And he was in the right spot a lot, and you know, we need to have the opportunity to have him playing, whether it's backing up Sean Mahone or playing in a nickel situation, you know, whatever. But that's the ankle issue. As everybody knows, ankles are one of those things that don't heal fast, and so I think that's more of the issue than anything. I think that part of it's gonna hinder what we can do sub-wise this week.
How about Bartlett and Lowe and some of those other guys? How did they show up?
Well, Bartlett did a great job. We knew going into the game that he was extremely athletic, was explosive. What we didn't know is that he would play hard, and we didn't know that he would get out there. He really only had one play where he got a little bit flustered, and I'm sure that we didn't do a good enough job of getting the front with balls in the middle of the field, and I'm sure we didn't do a good job, you know, getting the call right. So he played really hard, very aggressive young man. A lot of things that we saw, or the reason why he was signed here, was what you saw in the game. He gave us some speed that we've kind of been lacking there, which is what I said last week. I think it was Monday or Tuesday last week when we had this interview. Yes.
Vic, you guys slid Tonkery over to bandage. What did you think of?
Well, we actually did that 2 weeks ago, or 2 games ago. The dates are all kind of getting mixed up. You know, it's kind of a necessary deal, running out of those body types, and you know, we're trying to get something where he feels comfortable, and I think he showed a little bit of comfort. He did a much better job than he's been doing. He did not run down the middle of guys. He actually dipped his hips. He got around. He was actually a really effective player, and I expect for him to get better and better and better. Love him to death. Is a good guy. Really, really, you know, wants to do well. And, you know, all of us are big fans of him, and we really want him to continue to progress and get better and better.
Play where Tyke shoots in on that gadget play, and
thank goodness, because they kind of busted us on their little wheel deal. We had some eyes in the backfield, And so, yeah, it's a good thing he came and made it happen. Tyke's really been a joy, not just as a player, but as a person. A lot of things you don't see in Tyke now. I think that his mentality as a football player, when I say a lot of things you don't see, if you watch the film, you'll see him. He's very aggressive, and he's borderline. We're gonna have to talk to him about a few things. I mean, he makes a tackle. Then, like, there was a play down there when they got in their big set where his responsibility was to tackle the fullback coming out, so we really didn't have to cover him. And well, he tackled him, he picked him up, and he Greco-Romaned him, and then pushed his head in the grass. And that wasn't the only time. He plays on the edge, and we need as many of those cats like that as we can get that really want to be physical. And we just got to make sure we, don't get any penalties, but we really want that type of mentality that Tyke brings.
What we saw from the Stills brothers, is that close to what you expect from them?
Yes, sir. I mean, and I don't know going into the game, if I'd have sit there and said, hey, you're going to have 8 sacks. And you watch the film, there was 12 of them out there that should have been had. And you go back to the Missouri game, there's people still trying to find out what we did against Missouri, the teams that play them. Hey, what'd y'all do? What'd y'all see? What was your thoughts? Because they obviously watched us getting into the backfield a lot, and I thought we were awful, but we missed a bunch of. But at least they see us getting in there, and I think we'll continue to progress and get better. Texas Tech is the type of team though that throws the ball very quick, throw it in rhythm, tons of screens. They slow down your pass rush, so we're going to have to be prudent, with what we do. We got to make sure we can't just go flying up the field. I think the Baylor came out thinking they were just going to throw the ball deep a lot, and we were able to get some pressure and kind of get them off of that a little bit. And so every game's different, so we'll see. Those guys, when they play hard, they're really good. So and that's a lot of guys. When they play as hard as they played, they're really good, and you could say that about a lot of football players.
Having rewatched that goal line stand, those 3 shots inside the one, just not going anywhere?
No, our guys I think our guys won. It was good to see. As a parent or as a coach or whatever, it's good to see your guys do things that you knew they were capable of doing. We played with better pad level than they had, and I'm glad they didn't try to run it off the edge or whatever. But we practiced that a bunch of times in practice, and we fit it up okay. There was one when they had the other kid in at quarterback, the little quarterback power, that we just didn't scrape exactly perfect, or we'd hit him 3 yards deep. So those are things we practiced, and it was good to see things we practiced work.
But down there, you gotta go all in on one thing or the other, right?
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you try to stop everything, stop nothing. So that's like pleasing people. You try to please everybody all the time, you end up pleasing fewer people than you want. So you just you just try to play the odds and go for it. I think they thought that they could knock us in, and they had been pretty successful with that. They were a big sneak team going into the game, so we practiced it. So.
Vic, the defense you all did play, sounds like some of it's necessity because of personnel, and some of it was Baylor, what they like to do, throwing the ball. Is it something that carries over to next week, or is it individual opponent? And do you even have the personnel to do that next week?
Well, we'll see. Today will be the first day of practice. I don't know that we'll be able to practice a full group today. Just base defense. So we'll practice in segments today, and we'll see what we have moving forward in the next few days. I'm going to kind of stay away again from that part of it. When I was at a school called Memphis State, that is now, and I get harassed about that around here. I've got a master's degree from Memphis State. In the 90s, we played this 3 safety defense that nobody had really seen much of. And I think we played Steve Logan's East Carolina team, who was pretty good, and I think we had 8 picks in that game. And so there's been times periodically that we pulled that out. I know one time at Wyoming, we did it against BYU when they were about 8th in the country and got them. So it's not something that I haven't done. It is the fad, especially in the Big 12 now, but it's not something that I haven't done. I did it at Clemson, did it a bunch at Illinois at times. So if it fits what you need, and candidly, we haven't had enough safeties to do it to where we've had better linebackers than we've had safeties. So you want to use your best players and put your best 11 out there, and so we'll go from there.
I'm
Okay,
assuming
thanks,
that
Coach.
you didn't have
Good.
a lot of time to practice that and work on that. Is it
Well, we had
pleasing
a
at
couple
least that
extra
you?
days.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a couple extra days, so that was why we were able to do that. So anyway, and Guzman did a good job, and he was the guy that I was able to take away from another position to learn that. So he's out. So we'll see.